Welcome to your Soccer Down Here 1v1 every other week as a part of our coverage of the Greenville Triumph. It's either catching up with folks on the team or catching up with this guy as a part of our coverage. Chris Ashley, YTSS, Yeah That Soccer Show, the podcast, GVLsoccer.com, the website, and everything else that is Greenville Triumph Soccer. Chris, as always, good to catch up, my friend.
Always excited to chat with you, John.
All right, so I guess before we get into the game for a second, I guess let's just get into the elephant in the room. How was it with fans in the stands at Legacy Early?
You know, I got to be honest. I was hopeful, but I was also probably a little bit skeptical going in just because I'd seen so many teams around the league do this and it not go well. And so I'd be lying to say that I thought, hey, this is going to be great, this is going to work out just perfectly. But I was really surprised. People really spread out very well in terms of socially distancing. The general admission areas, I'm not sure if they actually were selling them as general admission tickets or not, but I did notice the sections that are generally general admission areas were a little bit more close together. But pretty much for the most part, people spread out. Everybody, for the most part, wearing masks. I did hear of one person who refused to wear a mask, and they were asked to leave and escorted from the field. So, you know, I think Greenville put these protocols in place, and they seemed to stick by them, and it seemed to do a pretty good job. I told some folks when I got back I thought it was around 1,000 people looked like there, and I saw the official number was like 887 or something. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great crowd for a home match, especially considering the circumstances, considering your capacity's way reduced. But, John, we got to talk about the bigger news, which is the CW broadcast allegedly reaching 20,000 households.
Nice.
It's insane to me.
Well done. And now that relationship is going to be expanding. So that's you know, part and parcel to what I'm sure the front office and anyone that was close to the Triumph were thinking about in the first place. But because of that first go-round, it is now 6 additional Triumph matches that will be on the CW and CW 62.
Yeah, and I think that was always the intention. I think, you know, this was a test balloon, and I mean, I don't know what else they were showing on Saturday evenings on this local CW channel, but I can't imagine they were pulling 20,000 households in for something as in high demand as live sports. So I think, you know, from their standpoint, I think from the team and from the station, that's probably a major win both ways. So it just makes sense that that's something they're going to continue to do. And honestly, if they continue to do numbers like that, I wouldn't be surprised to see this go into next year either.
Yeah, and adding Forward Madison, Richmond, and Greenville to have those local broadcasts, it's definitely good stuff to see from USL League One teams, because you and I both know what it means to each individual market. And when you have an opportunity like this, where WSPA can sit there and put something on their CW channel that can reach out, because not everyone's going to be able to go. Not everyone is going to have the desire to go if they are eligible to do so. And to have this over-the-air component still brings you in as a part of the family on a game-by-game basis. And, you know, in this day and age, you know, you reach out where you can, and this is another one of those ways to do it.
Yeah, and it's great growth for the Triumph brand. It's great growth to continue to raise visibility and awareness in the community. I mean, you know, last year they averaged around 2,000 people per match. You had the 4,000 sellout at the first home match, and I think you got closer at the last match of the season. But even adding all of those matches up last year, I don't think you probably reached 20,000 unique fans. And so the fact that you're able to do that, even if it's, hey, it's probably being shown in some of the restaurants and bars around town as well. And you might have people that don't even know we have a soccer team, a professional soccer team in Greenville that got to see that and got to catch that. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal for this team as they continue to make an impact on the community.
And you get the Duke, another go-round of full points. Right now, 5 matches played. There's a 0 under the loss column still. And it was 1-0 over Chattanooga. You and I both know that going up against the Red Wolves, it's going to be a grinder. And this one was once again a grinder, but you end up getting full points out of it from a Greenville perspective.
Yeah, and as much as I have bemoaned a little bit the way that the Triumph they've changed their approach to the games. They're pushing the defense up really high. They're letting teams kind of press them and push them really hard. And Chattanooga had a lot of success and had a lot of good chances. But I'll tell you what, John, as much as I can gripe about it, John Harkes has got this figured out. He's taken these pieces and said, this is what's going to work for this team, and we're going to grind out games, and we're going to be gritty. And, yeah, teams are going to get some chances, but we believe in our back line. We believe in our guy between the pipes back there in Dallas J, and we're going to not let people score on us. And he's done that up to this point. And, Chattanooga's a good team, and I think they probably felt frustrated by not being able to get a ton of opportunities. And when they did, they were good chances, but Dallas played out of his mind, and they make Chattanooga played a near-perfect game, and I think it goes to show a lot about what Greenville has managed to accomplish, that, a good team like the Red Bulls have got to play near-perfect to get a 0-0 draw, and they make one mistake, and on that mistake, Greenville made them pay for it.
You look at the rest of the standings right now in League One, and I'll go ahead and say 2 through 10. 2 through 10 separated by 4 points right now. Union Omaha still, I think, the surprise of the season coming out of the blocks with a 2-0-2 record right now and 8 points. And this is the gaggle, the hashtag gaggle, I guess, that you and I had anticipated with this play, where you have a lot of teams who are having to manage a couple different things, schedule compression, depth, this kind of stuff, travel, all of that. But when you have a league that is as even as this is, right now, you're 4, 5, 6 matches in if you're Tormenta, and you have that group of folks, 2 through 10, all chasing Union Omaha right now, but there's only 4 points in the gap.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good league. It's a condensed league. I'll be honest, it feels good as a Triumph fan to be up top and have some distance between that gaggle.
Uh-huh.
But I think some of the surprises of the year so far for me, Fort Lauderdale, they're really impressing me, and they're coming in. I'm sure we'll talk about it. They're coming in this weekend to Greenville, but I think that was a good win for Greenville to get in the very first match of the year. And maybe just as surprising is North Texas. I don't know what's going on with North Texas defensively, but they don't seem to be able to put things together the way they did last year, where they were just kind of death by 1,000 cuts and were able to just wear teams down. They don't seem to be doing that. They're giving up a lot of goals late. And, Tormenta is struggling. They have their defensive back line it's the same pieces they had last year, but they don't seem to be playing as well this year. And, it's hard for a lot of these teams, I think, to have consistency from year to year. That's one thing that Greenville has benefited from, is bringing back so many pieces. And I think that's why they've started out so strong this year.
All right. Since you went ahead and mentioned it, Fort Lauderdale CF comes to town. It's the third game of the homestand, and the Fort Lauderdale CF side that we saw at the beginning of the year that was absolutely porous and was still trying to figure it out has found it out recently, where it is 2 wins and a draw in their last 3, and they're a point behind Union Omaha. Technically, they're in 4th place as we're coming into the weekend. But this is not the Fort Lauderdale CF side that we knew and that we saw early on in the year. They've turned a corner.
Well, if you remember that first match, they really gave Greenville a run for their money in that first half, and Greenville just kind of bookending halftime right at the end of the first half and at the beginning of the second half with their 2 goals. But other than that, the two teams played really well against each other. Ricky Lopez-Espin is a guy that Greenville fans remember from his time in Lansing last year. He's a good striker. He's turning out to be, and as much as your cohort Jason has talked about Inter Miami needing a number 9,
yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, to see Ricky Lopez-Espin get some eyeballs from the first team, because he's really been on quite a streak here in the last couple of weeks with Fort Lauderdale. The other guy that has kind of kicked it up for them is Eduardo Sosa in the midfield, who did not play that first game. But he was a guy I had my eye on, a former Columbus Crew draft pick, played a little bit in MLS and has had some injury bugs, but I think is kind of using this as an opportunity to rehab and reinvigorate his career. He's really helped them a lot to set up some of this offense that they've been driving. But I will say the one thing you look at Fort Lauderdale, yeah, they're winning some games, but they're also letting goals be scored. They've not had a shutout yet this year. They're averaging about 1 2/3 a goal allowed per match, which is good for a team like Greenville, because Greenville's a very strong defensive team. And so they're not going to give Fort Lauderdale a lot of chances to score. And in that first match, Ricky Lopez-Espin had some opportunities, but he kept getting caught offside. And I think I tweeted out during the Red Wolves game that I think Greenville might lead the league in catching other teams offside, because they've been getting those calls a lot this year. I think it's because of the way they're playing the back line up so high. But this is not going to be an easy game, I don't think. But I do expect, when you look at it after 90 minutes, I do expect Greenville to have a multi-goal victory here.
Going backwards just a little bit, it was the 3-2 win over North Texas this past weekend. Before that, the 1-1 draw with OCB. Fort Lauderdale goes to Statesboro, knocks off Tormenta 2-1, and the Ricky Lopez-Espin goal from center circle, which when that came across all of the wires and social media, everybody was like, yep, okay. So that is not something that you see every day. They give up 2 to Tucson, and then the 2-0 game that you're talking about back on July 18th. So while Fort Lauderdale seems to have been able to find it recently offensively, that defense seems to be a bit porous. And when you're going up against a team that has the firepower of Greenville, and you mentioned having a guy between the sticks like Dallas J., this one seems like it's a kind of an uphill slog, really, for a team that is traveling a lot. I mean, this is midweek, and they were in Dallas, Texas, having to turn around and hop back onto a plane and go back to South Florida, hop on another plane, go up to Greenville and play this one out. And so they get their rest after this one, but it's a lot of travel in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and Greenville is looking ahead to doing that same thing next week, traveling up to Foxborough to play. But I think this is a good chance for Greenville. This match, I think, is going to I hate to say anything this early in the season, but I really feel like if Greenville gets 3 points here against a pretty streaky Fort Lauderdale team who's moving in the right direction right now, if they can pick up 3 points at home right here, I feel really good about them kind of riding out the rest of this season and kind of pencil them in for that spot in the final.
All right, so what's going on at YTSS and GVLsoccer.com? Time for the blatant plug.
Yeah, so we're going to have the preview article up at GVLsoccer.com tomorrow, as well as preview podcasts. And then also getting the chance to sit down and chat with the goal scorer from last week, kind of my the
I was waiting for this moment.
The favorite of the pod, Mr. Lachlan McLean. John, I've been telling you all year, this is my guy, and he gets the goal last week. So we're going to get to chat with him and just kind of hear a little bit of his story and how he got to Greenville for his first professional contract and what he's kind of learning as he's getting to play for a coach like John Hartz.
And how do they access what you guys are doing these days?
Yep, you can find That Soccer Show on all the podcatchers. You can go to gvlsoccer.com for all the written work. You can follow the pod on Twitter at YTSS Podcasts, and you can follow me at GVL Soccer Guy.
Oh, I forgot to ask. What do you think about the Premier League schedule release with Leeds and Liverpool coming out of the blocks?
Hey, look, I mean, they want to hang a loss at home for the defending champions. That's fine. That's fine.
Had to ask, and we'll keep an eye on that one as well as the season comes along as well in the Premier League. Chris, as always, great to catch up with you, my friend. We will be listening and reading what is going on and keeping an eye on what's going on, especially with the new TV deal, the expanded TV deal with the Greenville Triumph, in addition to what we see on ESPN+. Thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1, my friend. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, sounds good, John.